Learn about hypnotherapy and childhood trauma. Hi, I'm Dan Ross, and today I want to talk about how hypnotherapy is used to not only find childhood traumas, but probably one of the reasons why you may be watching this is also to resolve them. And the reason this is important is often when I'm working with people, there's something that's happening today that either the client is aware of that is related to something that happened in the past, or they're not aware of it and they're curious about how to find that. And in the end, I work based on outcomes, so it's often some presenting issue today. It could be symptoms like people present with, if they have post-traumatic stress, that they may be easily triggered. They may have a strong sense of fear or anxiety. They may avoid certain people or situations. They may have really strong feelings or replay the yucky memories or movies in their mind over and over again. And again, sometimes people are aware of what happened in childhood and sometimes people are not. It could also be that they, for example, can't lose the weight that they're trying to lose. They can't break some kind of other bad habit. They're stuck in their career or in their relationship. It can show up just like kind of untraceable or just kind of background levels of fear or anger that shows up that may explode easily, or they may want to withdraw. So we start with today's goal, which should be to kind of get out of those things, or the goal of losing weight or whatever it is the person wants to get. And then we can sort of trace these particular feelings or experiences back, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. And what we'll really be talking about is really, again, two things. One is sometimes people are curious, and so it's more exploratory. You know, I have this thing that's going on today, and I'm wondering if something happened in childhood, and I'll address that again in the next video, because we'll talk in more detail about memory and how to find it, how to change it, how to use it. And then the other thing is really just let's resolve something. So again, whether you're aware of something that happened or not, let's resolve it and clean it up. And again, I'll talk about that in another video. And I also want to talk about the level of trauma, because sometimes, again, these things can be fairly mild, or sometimes they can be pretty intense. So sometimes it's what I call capital T trauma. So something like physical abuse, something like sexual abuse. Sometimes it shows up as neglect. So those are kind of big traumas, and it may be very obvious why that may be affecting somebody today. But sometimes it's something seemingly more innocuous. I've had people who've had traumatic events where maybe it was just switching schools, and they were the new kid and they didn't make friends fast enough. It wasn't anybody bullied them per se. It's just, you know, they showed up and everybody was all off on their own separate cliques and their own separate friend groups, and you know, they felt left out, and that can be traumatic. It can play over and over into a script of today of, for example, you know, I don't make friends easily, or I have trouble making cold calls or something like that. Sometimes it's, and I work with somebody and she had no conscious awareness of this, but she was, we brought her back to when I think she was about 16 months old, and she was crying in the crib, and her mother wasn't there. Mother and dad were out for the evening, and they were left in the care of a relative who was apparently very kind and caring, but she wanted her mom. And so it was very traumatic that she's calling and her mom's not there. So again, something that is seemingly innocuous, nobody was being abusive, she was again in good care, but it still showed up as this trauma. So these memories can, depending on how intense they are, they can show up as intrusive thoughts or memories. They can feel like the memory's playing over and over again, for example, or it can just show up as thoughts like, you know, why did you do that? Why can't you do that? And so those are some of the symptoms we would look for today that might have to do with childhood trauma. So on the next video, we'll talk a bit more about hypnotherapy and memory, and how memory works, and how we can use hypnotherapy to recover memory, to to understand certain memories in the interest and in service of changing them. So go ahead and watch that on the next video.